What's up, everybody? It's Jeffrey Lyles, welcoming you to another edition of Lyles Figure Files. Last episode, I was talking about how great this McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Batmobile was. It's $60. You get a basic streamlined Batmobile. It's not as screen accurate as some of you would like, but it covers the basics. If you just want it on your shelf to be like, that's my Batmobile. I've got my Michael Keaton Batman, brother from McFarlane Toys, weather from Mezco, hanging right in front of it. And it was affordable. I didn't have to put out a second mortgage just to get it. I got it. I'm cool. I don't need anything else. Some of you were saying this Batmobile just doesn't cut it. It looks a little too cheap. There's not enough detail. It's missing the important elements like those machine guns. It doesn't even have a second seat for Vicky Vale to sit in. It's missing an exhaust flame from the back. It doesn't even have a grapple hook. And those are all valid points. It is not the end all be all of Batmobiles. For that, you're going to have to spend a little bit more money. You're going to have to go the Hot Toys route. And you're going to have to spend $715 to get that high-end, perfectly screen-accurate version of the Batmobile. And it's got LED lighting. It's got the machine gun parts. It's got a remote control for Batman to say stop. It's got all the things. It's got a little stand where you can rotate your Batmobile. But it's going to cost you a lot more money. When you tack on shipping, when you tack on tax, it's going to be a lot closer to $800. And for most of us, I think if I'm spending $800, I probably need a lot more than just one Batmobile versus a $60 one that gets the job. It's going to be sitting on a shelf on your collection just as well as your $800 Batmobile with no problem. And I said in a video that I think McFarlane Toys is showing Hasbro how to price 6 to 7 inch scale vehicles appropriately. We don't need something like the HasLab Engine of Vengeance that was $350 for basically no reason. It was like, hey, we got to factor in how we get these other figures in here. Let's put this into the cost of this car. And the car, so many of y'all were like, there's a Bratz car, there's a RC Batmobile. That's a way better value. And it was so true. And I'm looking at this $60 Batmobile as a car. It's 27 inches, even wider than the Engine of Vengeance that we were getting from Hasbro had it been funded. And I'm thinking, this is $60. Why was there such a disconnect between what Hasbro was offering and what McFarlane Toys offered and delivered? And granted, Batman, Ghost Rider, two totally different spectrums on the popularity charts, but it should have been a layup to get Ghost Rider, Robbie Reyes, and his Hell Charger delivered to fans. I said before, I think $250 might have felt expensive, but would have felt like, okay, it's not as bad as it could be. Would I prefer to spend $100 for this car? Sure. But $250 with 4 extra figures, okay, I can swallow that a little bit better. But when you're making another $100, then I feel like you guys are taking advantage of the goodwill that you generated from that HasLab Galactus, that HasLab Sentinel. And it wasn't a good deal. So a lot of you said, well, hey, you wanted to speak about a bad deal, talk about that McFarlane Toys Batwing, because at $250, that is not a good deal. And I'm like, no problem. I have no issue talking about it because you're right. It's not the best deal. It's not a tremendously great value like that Batmobile. I'm looking and I can't see what I'm getting for $250. It's just a big wide Batmobile or Batwing, and it is big. It's got to be huge to fit and look cool, but there's nothing that exciting. There's no cool features. There's nothing to it that's like, yep, I see why that's $250. The problem, though, is you can still buy that Batwing. You can buy the Batmobile. You could buy a Batman to go with all of those, and you'd still come out cheaper than what you got for the Engine of Vengeance. And to me, that just shows why the Engine of Vengeance, which is one vehicle compared to 2 in a figure, was a terrible deal. And I don't want to shortchange the HasLab. You get a Ghost Rider with that as well. So you get a figure, vehicle, versus what you could get for a figure, a vehicle, and another vehicle. And if you were really mindful of your purchases, you could probably throw in a couple of clearance Marvel Legend figures on top of that and still come out ahead than if you bought the Engine of Vengeance. So that's my whole issue. It's like, That was a terrible price point, and that doesn't mean that every other company can't make terrible prices for their vehicles too, because this Batwing is not $250 worth. But you know what is a great deal for a Batwing? Spin Masters. They released one Target exclusive that fits their smaller scale Batmans, but with other Spin Master vehicles, they work for McFarlane Toys DC figures just as well. So you could probably put your Mezco Batman in this Batwing with no problem. It's $40, and it seems basically to have the same amount of detail as the McFarlane Toys version. Now, that's a fraction, a very small fraction of the cost. So this is a totally good deal. It's 27 inches. You can see this little kid playing with it. It's a pretty sizable vehicle on its own. So for the same deals I was saying, this Batmobile is a way better deal than Hot Toys. The Spin Master Batwing is a way better value than the McFarlane Toys Batwing, because really all you're going to do is have it hanging from your ceiling anyway, or on your display shelf. It's not this thing where it's like, oh gosh, this looks like a $2 toy compared to the McFarlane one that looks like a masterpiece. That's not the case. And another thing that I was really stressing in that last video was Hasbro has so many vehicles, so many properties that would benefit from vehicles that we've already seen that they don't need to charge $350 to get them out there. I have both of the massive Black Series vehicles. I've got the Snow Speeder, and that thing is so amazing. I love that thing. It's one of my favorite vehicles. I used to have the original one back in the day. It is so beat up, but having the massive new updated version for under $100 felt like such a big win. And then the Land Speeder, that was another big size vehicle. I'm thinking of all of the G.I. Joe Classified Series vehicles that would work in that scale. And you could go, well, hey, retail won't fit those things anymore. They don't have the shelf space. They can't do it. And that clearly does not matter to Hasbro, because they're putting out box sets after box sets exclusive to Pulse. We're getting the Spider-Man and his amazing friends. You don't think that could have sold at retail? We're getting a Mojo World set that's available on Pulse right now. We're getting Harold's 2-packs. We're getting Spider-Man. We're getting Venom and Null. We got all these things that are exclusive to Pulse that they're charging a premium price for. And I think if you charge $100 for vehicles, you'd sell through. You wouldn't have to worry about funding them through HasLab. Can you imagine getting a Cobra water moccasin for $100? I feel like I would go, oh, but McFarlane Toys is charging $60 for it, but at least I have it. I think for a whale hovercraft, $350 would be like, okay, I don't think that's a great deal, but it's big, it's massive. I can put a whole bunch of Joes on there, and I just don't feel that with the Engine of Vengeance. It was like, why are you charging so much? I don't understand why Hasbro can't say, all right, retail's not for us here anymore. We're going to set a maximum of 100. If it's a really special vehicle, we'll go to 150 for it, and we'll just sell it exclusively on Pulse. And I feel like those would sell. The Batmobile sold out at $60 through multiple retailers. It's sold out on Big Bad Toy Stores for $70. And I think that's the key. You sell your vehicles at a price point to sell. Your customers will buy it. I mean, you can't buy a Batmobile right now if you wanted to. It's sold out everywhere. I think if Hasbro used the Pulse to do a Spider-Man, Spider Buggy, a Punisher minivan, they could sell them for under $100 and people would buy them. They wouldn't have to be part of a warehouse sale, because people would just buy them and keep that supply of vehicles rolling. And I think this is where a lack of transparency really hurts these companies, because if they were to go, hey, we're going to try to do a vehicle rollout program exclusively to the Pulse. We're not going to do a HasLab. We're just going to make the vehicle like we've seen with the Slave One on Pulse, all these other different Star Wars exclusives, the Cantina set, the Boba Fett throne room. We're just going to make it exclusive to Pulse, and we're going to charge you whatever for it. You pay for it, you back it. We're going to keep these vehicles rolling. If we can't sell enough, or we have to put it on clearance, then that's going to make it real dicey for everything in the future. But I think if they just communicated directly with us, hey, this is what we need. We're not going to try to string you along with the HasLab, and we need this many thousands to back it or whatever. We're just going to put it out there, and if we sell, we're going to get a lot more of these vehicles in the future. And I think that's where we need to go. McFarlane Toys will go, I don't care. I'm going to charge $60 for my Batmobile. I'm going to charge $250 for the Batwing. People buy it, great. If not, I know they really wanted the Batmobile anyway, and they can go buy a cheaper Spin Masters Batwing, because I'm still raking in the money. So that's what I'm saying. Let me know what you guys think. Is the Batwing just a terrible deal? I think we all agree that that's probably a little bit too much for that thing. But could Hasbro learn from this lesson and still charge less money to get vehicles for all its various lines, for Star Wars Black Series, for G.I. Joe Classified Series, for Marvel Legends, to get more vehicles out to us one way or the other without needing a HasLab fundraiser to get it done? Thank you as always for watching. This episode of Loud's Figure Files has been filed.